Longitudinal ladies and compression chaps. Crank up your cochlea. Hang a late reflection on your lobule. And if a podcast gets broadcast in the forest and no one is there to subscribe, did it ever really happen?
It's time to talk Tull to me.
Did you hear something just now, Nick?
What was that?
That's eerie. The hairs on my leg are standing up.
The legs in my hair are standing up.
The legs in my hair are standing up. Welcome back to the podcast. I am Omen Thomas Say.
And I am Nick McGill.
Together we are the sound of one hand clapping, the Feckless Momes.
And this, my sweet little pooches, is Talk Tull to me.
A harmonic resonance in the anechoic chamber of prog rock, in which Notch Filter Nick and Oscillation Omen will attempt, at great risk to our health and sanity, to isolate the frequencies of each and every track that resonance rock band Jethro Tull have ever hidden in the reverberant static of the universe. We will adjust the David Peg polarity, diddle the decibel dial of Doane Perry, and baffle the Martin Barr boominess. And if we can surgically enhance our ossicles, trick out our tragus, and elongate our ear canal, we just might hear a faint whisper from the ether of the faint flute frequency, the vibrating virtuoso, the slapback Scotsman, the very whitest of white noises, a man who travels at about 343 meters per second at sea level, depending on air temperature and humidity, and who, of course, moves at a speed proportional to the square root of the ratio of the bulk modulus of the medium to its density, Ian Ambiance Anderson.
Wow. I feel like you bored our listeners just there because they knew all of that already, Omen.
You know, it's good to review.
Okay.
We've done so much dog-themed intros before. We've done so many dog themes that I didn't want to do another one.
I approve of that.
Dogs in midwinter.
Yeah.
Sleeping with a dog.
Yep.
How much is that doggy in the window?
That was my favorite episode, actually.
Who let the dogs out off of Crest of a Knave?
Snoop Doggy Dog by Real Big Fish.
Jethro Tull. So went the sound route this time.
Yeah, that's good. I like it. Shockingly, we are nearly 300 episodes in and we've not yet had a song or at least a theme about sound.
You know what's funny? I didn't find that many words about sound that aren't about music, but I found a lot of terminology about how to stop sound.
Oh, interesting.
Like the properties of acoustics, which mostly are about how to stop those damn sounds.
Yeah, or control it in one way or the other. Yeah.
Control, exactly, yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. So, Nick, speaking of us doing a podcast,
that's
where we talk.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. Yeah.
Tull. Mm-hmm. What are we talking about today?
We are on track number 3 off of album number 19.
Mm-hmm.
This is Out of the Noise. Out of the Noise.
By Jethro Tull on the album Roots to Branches.
Correct indeed.
Nick, before we actually dive in and take a listen, shall we take a gander with our eyes from the book Silent Singing?
Everybody open up your hymnals to page 193 of Silent Singing.
As we know, Ian is an amateur photographer in the truest sense of the word, that he does it because he loves it.
Mm-hmm.
And here we have a beautifully framed photograph of some sort of a black and tan dog. Nick, you might know better the breed than I would.
Looks like it's got a little German Shepherd action going on in the face and the ears. Could also be some other type of shepherd, like Australian, like Noggin is an Australian shepherd, and it's pretty similar there, but it's clearly a mix. It seems pretty small for a shepherd.
A shepherd forward mutt.
Yes.
Sitting in a terribly scratched up blue car, which is missing part of the casing of the right-hand mirror.
Which is was probably also the result of the scratches on the side of the car.
Yeah, could be. Really banged up car.
Yeah.
Could be a Renault. The dog is sitting there with a bright red collar on, looking really attentive and just gorgeous.
What a handsome little boy that is.
Handsome boy. The blurb underneath reads, out of the noise, dog in the seat of a parked Carl. Oh my God.
Carl? Carl is parked and the dog is in the seat of him.
Dog in the seat of a parked car, Arles, France. I want to just note for our listeners that the window of the car is down. He continues, a welcome refuge from the hustle of city life. Not sure if he's talking about the car or Arles. I love to meet and photograph street cats and dogs. They are always so canny and know instantly who loves them and who'll kick them out of the way. Best to carry the rabies immune globulin. Best to carry the rabies.
Carry that rabies goblin just to be safe.
Best to carry the rabies immune globulin with you at all times, and a local phrase book. S'il te plaît, ne me morde pas. Please don't bite me.
Oh.
Please, it means please don't bite me.
Speaking of translations, amateur, I never realized is you do something for the love of it. Ama is love.
Amar, yeah, it comes from amare.
That's crazy. I never clicked that.
And amateur literally means the one who does from love.
Yeah. That's really cool. Never knew that. Never knew that.
Yeah.
The only connection here is the translation. I had a mind-blowing moment the other day about the term inclement, like inclement weather.
Oh, interesting. What's it come from?
Inclement. Clemency is peaceful.
Oh.
Inclement.
Oh, it is unpeaceful weather.
Yeah.
Yeah. I freaking love words.
I love etymology so much.
I love bugs.
On that note, let's listen to the song about a bug in traffic, Out of the Noise.
Out of the bugs.
Be a very different song.
Nick McGill.
Omen. Said.
Speaking of word origins,
Give it to me.
do you know the origin of the word mondegreen?
Oh, it sounds French.
It is not.
It's not French.
It is a mishearing of the phrase laid him on the green from a traditional ballad, The Bonnie Earl of Murray.
That's so good. I love that so much.
And somebody heard it in the 1950s as Lady Mondegreen.
Oh, that's so good.
And subsequently that became the word. I believe it was Sylvia Wright.
It sounds like a French English bastardization of Green Earth, right? Monde Green.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It does. And I think she just created that.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Love it.
Ye highlands and ye lowlands, oh where have ye been? They ha slain the Earl Amory and laid him on the green. And Lady Mondegreen.
Absolutely makes sense. They'd slain him and Lady Mondegreen. There were two slayings that day.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. And anyway, just a little fun tidbit that I thought of today.
Do you have a Velvet Mondegreen for this, or was that just...
I do, and that's what made me think of it. That we'll get to in about 30 minutes.
Don't rush it. We'll get there. Everybody, brace yourselves.
Is there anything that we should talk about before we dive into the music here, Nick?
I think just important to note that we've got Peggy on bass here as opposed to Steve Bailey. This is the first track that we have heard thus far that has Peggy.
Yes, one of only 3 tracks.
Correct indeed. Other than that, I think we can dive into music. Do you have anything important?
This song is super upbeat, super flavorful. Oh my gosh, the prog is back.
What do we have for time signature here?
What do you think we have for time signature here?
I thought I found a 4/4 in there,
Okay.
but I also know that I also could have jumped. Like, I didn't give enough time in between the beats that maybe I fudged it and kind of made it fit in there.
4/4, but one of the beats is a little thick.
Or a little thin, maybe. That's the problem.
I actually think it is in 4/4, or I would say 8/8.
Okay.
It's a fast count, but I think it is regular. But the thing that's so amazing about this song is that right from the beginning, it takes us about 30 seconds before we get into that more rock and roll sounding beat.
The really heavy Martin at about 30, yeah. Comes right in, yeah.
And the drums giving us a steady backing.
Yep.
But before that and after that, we have so many complex rhythms layered on top of each other, and so many phrases and riffs that are within that matrix of 4/4 or 8/8 that I was really, when I first heard it, I was like, oh my God, this is a polydactyl kitty cat here.
So many toes on this song.
So many toes. What's that? Oh, it's a toe.
There is a lot going on, and it kind of builds you into it. You know, it starts simple and then does kind of break out at about 30 seconds. But yeah, there is a lot. There are a lot of layers going on. I mean, we've got the flute, we've got Martin with some like lovely little cymbal work. I'm sorry, Doan with the little cymbal work. Martin underneath.
Yep.
Just kind of being real light. He's not getting super heavy yet. And then Peggy on the bass, kind of underneath everything. But his bass is super chunky, even right from the beginning.
There are a number of rhythms that repeat throughout the song. So, for instance, we have that Yep. We have a kind of classic triplet. I think it's in the line dodging rickshaws and the bicycle boys. Dum dum dum.
Yeah.
It's a 3 overlaid on that 4.
Gotcha.
So it gives you that sense of syncopation.
Dodging rickshaws and the bicycle boys.
All of these different rhythms really, I think, are setting up the visual of the story, the sensorial, overwhelming, mixed traffic, things going every which way. This really, what looks like a super chaotic scene.
Yeah.
That you think nobody could cross that street and live.
Right. Good call. Very good call on that. I think we definitely get that overwhelming nature of inevitable impending doom.
Yeah. Yes. And urban chaos.
Yes. Urban chaos, definitely.
Even some of Ian's flute trills, he does some really interesting doubled up flute here, where he'll do the flutter tonguing, but it's doubled. A double flutter tongue, which I haven't seen since I was in Amsterdam. He layers that on top of each other in a bit of a strange harmony, and there's a lift. I'm trying to figure out where it is. It's really an unusual sound, and it could be a car horn or screeching tires or light reflecting off of a mirror or something.
Yeah, it's the bright moment sonically or visually of this song, yeah.
And like you pointed out, we have Peggy giving us those really low, rumbly, again, also very unusual rhythms.
Yeah.
All the time. It's just, the whole thing is really fun.
Yeah. When we break out and get super crazy, 30 seconds and beyond, we get some really frantic tambo work.
Wow.
That I think is Doan. I think it's a bit too active for Ian. He's usually pretty reserved and like beautiful tambo. This is like super, super all over the place. It's good. It's real good.
Old dog of experience, ripping through the black and yellow cabs.
I could be very wrong and probably am.
Yeah, if not about this, then about something else.
Trust me, I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I feel like at some points we hear a double of guitar. Just in some brief moments. I'm probably super wrong. Maybe it's the guitar and the bass like matching perfectly.
I don't know.
I feel like there's something there.
I know what you're talking about. So if you're wrong, you're in good company. But I think that it might be a setting on the guitar, which is giving it like just a tiny little delay or something. I know what you're talking about. It sounds it almost gives it a twangy feeling.
Yeah, it's a lot like the doubling up of the flute, you know? They're playing the exact same notes in the exact same way. So you you really have to think to realize, to cotton on to the fact that it's two of them.
Yeah. Speaking of doubling, Ian backs his own voice with the flute at a number of sections.
Missed that.
To great effect.
Over the road, round the corner, out of the noise.
The keys are so much fun.
Yes.
A little organ-y. I think there's also some more kind of general synthy work going on in the background.
Predominantly organ, but I know at the weird like bridgy breakdown at around 2:10, we get into just like piano sound as well.
Yes.
Very nice. Very accompaniment. It is definitely not any part of the backbone of this song, but it's there and it's the flavor. And it's a real nice touch. Adds to the chaos for sure.
Andy Giddings is adding a lot of personality to this on the keys. Even before then and after that, he's doing some like these kind of really, really fast 16th note runs that add to this sense of disorientation.
They're bouncy, rappy little guys. Works.
It feels akin to John Evans almost in terms of not when he would like dip into his classical feeling, but just the manicness of just like, I'm going to do this here, and then I'm going to do this here, and then I'm going to sell some ice cream over here, and then we'll do this thing over here.
Well, and I think that maybe part of that isn't Andy Giddings at this point younger than the rest of the band?
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Let's just check the facts. He was born in 63.
Doan's probably pretty young too at this point. Martin still looks baby-faced, but Martin looks baby-faced now, so that doesn't matter.
And Martin was born in 46.
Oh, wow. And Ian was born in 1847. Oh, 47. 1847.
Yeah. Dave Peggy, 47. Doan Perry, 54, so a little on the younger side.
Okay, yeah.
Giddings is by a solid decade the youngest of the bunch at this point.
Right, yeah.
So maybe he is bringing a little bit of that just youthful feeling. At 43 seconds, Martin leads us into a verse in a really delightful way.
Glued to the curbstone staring.
He's kind of guiding our attention in a way with his guitar work. He's not taking it. He's doing guitar jujitsu.
He's the lollipop man. He's the one in the middle of the road with the stop and go sign, and they call it the lollipop. So he's like, you go that way. He's not a pedo in a van handing out lollipops.
I didn't know. I thought you were talking about the Munchkins or something. We are the Lollipop Guild, the Lollipop Guild.
Yeah.
And also we'll sell you crack cocaine.
For the right price.
That's not a lollipop. At 1:55, roughly, we get into a really fun flute solo. A flute forward solo, breakdown, I would say.
Glued to the curbstone staring.
Yeah, that leads into that weird little breakdown that's got a little bit of a call and response thing going on. It's nice.
Yes, very subtle, very intricate.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice. It's delicately intricate. You know, it's very different compared to what we've had leading up to it.
Much like what you see traffic-wise in one of these big cities in the developing world where, have you seen those overhead shots of intersections in China?
Oh my God.
Where you're just like, how could this possibly be happening? Like, how are people just not getting crushed? Or even, oh my gosh, if any of our listeners have ever been to Paris and gone to the Bastille Monument, there's a roundabout where about 6 or 7, maybe 8 different roads all converge, and this monument is in the center.
It's like a 4-lane roundabout, right? Like, isn't it super thick?
Yes, but there are no lanes.
That's crazy.
There are no lanes painted. There are bicycles, motorcycles, and cars. and trucks and buses, all just kind of going into this cyclone and somehow popping out into the right thing. I used to ride that on my bike when going to visit one of my friends.
When I had a death wish.
I mean,
that time of my life. Not wrong.
But that just getting into that whirlpool and trying to get out on the correct road was mind numbing. And people would beep at you and be like, "What are you doing? Why are you so stupid?" And I'd be like, "How does anyone manage this?
Where'd that Italian man come from? This is Paris."
Why is the cast of Jersey Shore here? So, yes, I think that the whole musical description and setup here really brings us into that world of organized, somehow functioning chaos.
Yeah, agreed. That could be transferred to really virtually any Tull song anyway, in terms of organized chaos, particularly when you play a prog song for anybody who's never heard prog before.
Yes, that's true. But I think what I'm finding delightful about this album in particular is that there is a real concerted return to that very intricate, very rhythmically complex prog.
Yeah.
That we were missing a little bit of in Catfish Rising, even Rock Island.
Yeah.
Even maybe a little earlier than that. Even in the era when we had the drum machine, things kind of got simpler for a while.
Yeah.
And that was great because we got other flavors out of Tull.
Right. They did get simplified, yeah, but there is definitely a resurgence of something that we haven't heard in a while. It's that prog feeling. That prog is paired in with this new kind of heavy rock sound.
Yes.
That is really, it's this symbiotic relationship that is really producing just a brand new sound for Tull. And
you're totally right.
Yes, I get it. People don't like Roots to Branches, but they're wrong. It's good.
Who? What people? Show me one person who doesn't like Roots to Branches, and I'll say, oh, you've made a friend.
We are in that era. We've been in that era for a little bit now, where the farther we go, the harder it is to find, or I'm sorry, the further we go, the easier it is to find people who don't like that album because it doesn't sound like Tull.
To them.
Because it's not Tull anymore.
Because they have a fixated idea. They are trapped in the teeth of identity.
It's a stagnant ideation.
And they don't realize that identity is totally like a beautiful river flowing. It's always changing.
It's never the same river. It's never the same Jethro Tull.
I stepped in Jethro Tull once and my pants still aren't dry.
Gotta hang them out. They just need a little sun.
Yeah. I need to step into the sun.
That's it. My favorite Jethro Tull song.
One of the final things that I want to say about the music is we heard Ian talking about how he wanted to make the recording style of this feel more live.
Yeah.
Very successful here. We have that repeated over the road, round the corner, over the road, round the corner, over the road, round the corner.
Yeah.
Out of the noise.
Yes. Yeah, it's a great closer. It's very good.
Exactly how you would want to hear it live.
Over the road and around the corner. Over the road and around the corner. Out of the noise.
Could this be the closest that Tull comes to stadium rock? If they ever get even close to stadium rock, this might be it. The heaviness behind it.
Interesting.
The energy, the push, the chaos, and then that closer, that button.
Yeah, which is funny because their earlier stuff was what was actually played in stadiums.
Yeah, right. I went, you know what? It's been a long time. Let's see if this was ever played in concert.
Let's see if this was ever played at all, or simply a figment of our imagination.
Turns out it doesn't exist.
No.
Well, there it is. 24 times in 1995. That's it. Mm-hmm. That's it. Started at September 16th, 95 at the Sands Center in Carlisle, England. And the last one was November 25th, 95 at the Universal Amphitheater, Universal City, California, US of A.
And never again.
Never again.
Not yet.
Not until we request a concert from Ian. At the end of this podcast, this whole podcast, we're going to sit down.
That's right.
We're going to pull a single track from every single episode and do our dream.
Every episode. So every single track.
Yes, every episode. I'm having an episode right now. Okay, Omen, here we are halfway through this episode.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a bit to cram in here, so I'm just going to kind of jump right in. First of all, we have a correspondence from none other than Folky Phil. From Folky Phil, this is R.E. Lights Out. Regarding Lights Out. Hi, Nick and Omen. I hope this finds both of you both fab and groovy. Yeah, I feel fab. He feels groovy. That works.
Between the two of us, I think we have it covered.
Some observations regarding episode 285, Lights Out. Firstly, thank you for your thanks for my points of order about Commons Brawl. I enjoyed my little folky theme music. Secondly, regarding Lights Out, you discussed whether this song was a prequel to No Lullaby. I would suggest that Lights Out reflects a child's point of view, while No Lullaby is from the parent's position. But both songs cover the same idea, illogical childish fears set against the truth that in the real world, monsters most surely do exist.
Wow.
Yeah, right. As Newt in the movie Aliens, one of the best movies of all time, that's my note there.
Okay.
As Newt in the movie Aliens says, quote, "My mommy always said there were no monsters, no real ones, but there are, aren't there?" End quote.
And indeed there are.
Indeed there are. And on that subject, thirdly, I feel that you slightly missed some of the implications of the lyrics of Lights Out, specifically references to the man on the television screen and talk of the monster in the park. I feel these are references to the media and how some crimes can be so sensationally reported that the coverage amplifies fear to the point of mass hysteria. I can imagine a series of very serious crimes, possibly murders or sexual offenses, taking place and the unknown perpetrator being dubbed the monster in the park by reporters.
Sure.
A child watching such a report could misunderstand and their imagination become inflamed by monsters. The reference to the front page face of the dead, again referencing graphic, sensationalized news coverage of real-life horror. So this song is not just a parental reflection of irrational childhood nightmares, but it is also a commentary on social morality and the very real monsters that secretly dwell among us. As the songs on Nightcap were written in the 70s and early 80s, that means Lights Out is likely contemporaneous with the series of 13 murders and 7 attempted murders in northern England known as the Yorkshire Ripper Killings.
Oh, wow.
The name alluding to the similar murders of Jack the Ripper from 90-ish years before. At the time, there was a serious, understandable, panic as a serial killer was abroad, killing seemingly at random. Vivid media coverage inflamed very real public fears. The photo-fit face of the suspect stared out of every newspaper front page and every TV news screen.
Wow.
And the song's closing verse about the shadow in the night reaching down, touching the teddy bear's head, and then touching the child, that hints at a very different but also very real and disturbing terror. The child's cry of "It's you" suggests that the perpetrator is well known to them, but their identity has only just been realized. Shudders, sleep tight and cheerio, Folky Phil.
Folky Phil, thank you as usual for your incisive, long-range, heat-seeking commentary. I think you're spot on, honestly, and I, having not lived through the 70s and early 80s, we probably missed that aspect of it. But yeah, I do think that in that era especially, there was, well, I'm sure that the sensationalization of crimes has happened in every era, but there were more opportunities to do it because of people having more televisions and there being more public media.
That's just it. It's that perfect combination of it's become more ubiquitous, the television and the news, but people are not overwhelmed by sensationalism and bullshit like we are now.
And that was probably the early days of some of those media outlets recognizing, ooh, we can make a lot of money
Yes.
if we sensationalize some of these crimes.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Fox News started like really breaking out right around then. Would not be shocked at all. The 80s. Yeah.
We could easily look that up, but we certainly won't.
Not gonna. We have too much. In fact, we're gonna pull up our Roots to Branches tour program.
Yeah.
And we are open to the unpacked page for one Martin Lancelot bar.
Oh, terrific.
We've got a sultry gaze right there.
What a hat.
Martin. Yeah, they drew a line across the lip of the hat with Sharpie for some reason.
So bizarre.
Yeah. And then this is the picture of his kit spilled out.
Nice.
Luggage type Delsey large size with racing wheels and chrome bull bar. Mm-hmm. We've got running gear, well used.
Oh.
4 underpants, including chili pepper motif. Hot water bottle, getaway travel wash, Davidoff cigarellos, special occasions only. 2 pairs black jeans, 4 t-shirts, earplugs for airport hotels. Thomas the Tank Engine apron for washing clothes. Assorted socks. Electric shaver since 1988. Keytar Star guitar and microphone, songwriting tools.
I saw that.
I feel like that's a joke. It's a toy. It's a little toy guitar.
Well, but maybe he did use it. I mean, maybe it has enough functionality to get a tune out
It's
of it.
possible, yeah. Vitamin C tablets, Pepto-Bismol for Far Eastern tours.
Oh my goodness.
Ian strong-arming Martin into eating very peppery food.
Yeah.
2 volumes of The Complete Sherlock Holmes by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, bedside version. The annotated Sherlock.
Great.
Black rubber gloves, unspecified use. Blue Ducky shaving brush, present from Cameron Barr, who is worried I'll grow a beard again.
Oh.
Very sweet.
Very light kit.
Yeah, very much so. And then we have his description or his explanation of Out of the Noise itself. This song takes a definite U-turn from any Tull formula and proves to be a success from the opening bars. After a crisp and melodic setup, the guitar and keyboards introduce the tough riff, which develops throughout the vocal verse. The lyrics are very strong in their identity and highlight Tull's memorable tour of India. It is a short piece of music compared to most JT tracks. It's about 3.5. And the feeling at the end is for more of the same. The answer is to play it again. This track was built up from the drums and bass.
Oh, interesting.
The guitar part was the result of an hour in the hotel bedroom with a tape machine. Ian left Andy to, quote, produce my effort in the studio. It was genuinely a very exciting day of recording. Martin Barr.
Wow. This is such a, that you have this resource, Nick.
Yeah, it's very cool.
We're finding so many cool things.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to hear a little taste of the voice, the writing voice of each of the band members.
Right, yeah. I mean, Ian has always been the front man. He's the only one really who ever gets interviewed. So it's really cool to hear their voice and to hear their contribution in their own words. It's really interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. Cool that he does his own laundry. Amazing that he's a runner. I had no idea.
Yes, you did. We've had this discussion. He's an avid runner.
Well, just because we had it doesn't mean it. I can't experience it again for the first time.
That's true.
Thank you.
Like a virgin.
Nick, welcome back.
Omen, here we are. Let's talk what the heck this song is about. Not terribly cryptic. One of those pretty straightforward Tull songs.
And Ian gives us a lot of direct confirmations.
That he does.
At the start of Silent Singing, in the blurb which prefaces the album, he says, I don't often write about dogs, as I do about cats. But Out of the Noise was inspired by the wily traffic-dodging street dogs who are so ubiquitous in far-off lands, and seem to have even more lives than the cat.
I also found a clip of him explaining it from a tour of that time, from one of the live concerts that I have.
Thank you. That was called Out of the Noise. Piece of music about a little dog running across the road and not being run over by a very large truck. I was in a good mood the day I wrote that song. It could have been a different day. I might have written the song so he got... But he made it. It was a lucky day for that little dog.
What a strange man.
So this is, I think, probably one of the only confirmed instances of Ian saying, this is a specific moment in time that I experienced, and I'm going to write a song about it.
I'm not so sure that that's the case.
No? What do you got?
Okay, so we have Out of the Noise, glued to the curbstone, staring frozen at the stop sign to see that crazy suicide mongrel. He's going to try and cross the avenue.
Glued to the curbstone, staring, frozen at the stop sign too. See that crazy suicide mongrel. He's gonna try to cross that avenue.
The whole thing is about a dog weaving its way in and out of traffic. I think that he saw that over and over and over again while traveling in Mumbai and all kinds of places, and St. Petersburg and New York City, probably.
Yeah.
And then distilled that into one imagined instance. I think that's why he says, if I had been in a bad mood when I wrote the song, I would have killed the imaginary dog.
Yes. Okay. That's valid. That's true. It was frequent enough to be remarkable to then therefore be the subject of a song.
I think so.
Okay, shit on my sunshine, but I'll accept it.
It's called fertilizer. But maybe there was, maybe this was a repeated thing, and then he saw one instance of it that was so dramatic that it was just like, oh my gosh, I have to celebrate that.
I don't need your pity.
Your ideas are so valid, Nick.
You don't respect me as a man or a woman.
I take your pick. So what I love about the lyrics in this very opening salvo, as we described in the first half of the episode, this chaotic, overwhelming, polyrhythmic, so many things happening at the same time, and the lyrics are glued to the curbstone, staring frozen at the stop sign too. In all of this craziness, you have this completely fixed point. Like the photograph, when a dog is looking at something, they're just like single point of focus.
Lasers, yeah.
Yeah. See that crazy suicide mongrel? Oh my God. The narrator realizes he's going to try and cross that avenue.
Yeah.
And we continue. Old dog of experience ripping through the black and yellow cabs, dodging rickshaws and the bicycle boys. He's got his mind on someone else's dinner over the road round the corner out of the noise.
Old dog of experience, ripping through the black and yellow cabs, dodging rickshaws and the bicycle boys. Got his mind on someone else's dinner, over the road, round the corner, out of the noise.
In a short verse, we get the before, the during, and the after.
Yeah, it is a quick experience, the whole song. It's very straightforward. He's not terribly cryptic or poetic here, but he's still using very evocative language that makes it a very enjoyable narrative journey.
Yes, it's poetic while still being very direct in describing something, which I think is so fun.
Yeah.
And not something that we get a lot of on this album necessarily.
Not really in Tull.
Not so much in Tull. Yeah, the songs where we have an event that is described as it happened are few and far between.
Yeah.
Funny, the black and yellow cabs makes me think of London and New York. The rickshaws and the bicycles make me think of the East.
Yeah.
So it does feel like a combination of all these different urban environments.
You're right. He's in every dog.
He's in every dog. Lives down in some cool basement, sharing with a family of bouncy, ratty little guys. It's just such a silly...
I love that line, yeah.
Lives down in some cool basement, sharing with a family of bouncy, ratty little guys.
Why are they bouncy?
Pooches, dogs are inherently in good moods.
Oh. I thought he was living with rats.
I mean, it could also be that, and rats bounce and scamper, but to me, it feels like it's a colony of stray dogs.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of dogs, is that they're always on the bright side of things unless given a reason otherwise.
Yeah.
That's the opposite with cats, is they're always like a hair trigger away from cutting you to flinders unless you give them a reason to be in a good mood.
So maybe we could imagine that this dog is providing for his ratty little family.
It feels like, what was that movie? The Disney version of Oliver Twist. Oliver and Company. It feels like Oliver and Company.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Or do you know, it's an old traditional song. You probably know it because of Nickel Creek.
The fox.
The fox.
Yep.
Fox went out on a stormy night.
Yeah.
He's dodging the bullets and dodging the farmer. Farmer, what's his name?
Comes back with a goose.
To get the goose back. Yeah, that's kind of a fun aspect. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah. I see it though. That's funny. That's cute.
I also love the line, he's got his mind on someone else's dinner. You know when you see like an Olympian or like an obstacle course racer or somebody who's like really like a real athlete looking at the thing that they're about to do, and you see them visualizing it in their head. Mm-hmm. You can see them being like, and then I shift my weight and then I triple back axle. And that's how I imagine the dog. The dog is like, in that moment, everything is, he sees the steak and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. It aligns. He gets tunnel vision. And
yeah. He's in a flow state.
Yeah.
Works to a discipline of ritual undertakings. Eat, sleep, and gentle exercise.
Works to a discipline of ritual undertakings. Sleep, eat, and gentle exercise.
That explains a dog.
Yeah. Interesting describing those as discipline and rituals.
Its existence, I think discipline and ritual adds a certain degree of conscious choice.
A little anthropomorphization.
Yes, which, I mean, everybody loves a good anthropomorphization. Yeah.
I do.
I know you do. I've asked you to stop.
I'll anthropomorphize anything. Excuse me, can you please stop anthropomorphizing me?
I'm a human. I'm not an object that you can then act like is a human.
I'm trying to project my own experience onto my meaningless existence. We have a repeat of Old Dog of Experience. I also wonder, we're now getting to the next album, jtull.com, has a song called The Dog-Eared Years, in which the Ian describes kind of like being an old rock and roller and kind of realizing like, oh, somehow I've gotten into the dog-eared years of this.
Right.
I wonder if there's a certain recognition or admiration when he says Old Dog of Experience.
I wonder if this can somehow be translated to Ian.
He's got his mind around a tour.
Laser focused.
He's dodging all of the crazy things that come up when you're a rock star. Sure.
Yeah.
Could apply to any of us.
Yeah. I feel like an old dog of experience more often than not.
I have laser focus and dodge all kinds of impediments when I get up from the couch, walk to the freezer, and get myself a popsicle.
And stop eating my dinner.
Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. It's habit. I got that dog in me.
That dog.
There's only a 3-verse song. On to the last verse. And here's my mondegreen. Some towns I know he could end up at a restaurant.
Sometimes I know he could end up in a restaurant.
I always heard it as sometimes I know he could end up in a restaurant.
Oh, yeah, that works too. Yeah.
With it written as some towns, it almost makes me think of, like, to your point of there being the all dog.
Yeah.
That he's seen this same thing happen in all these different cities and is like, oh my gosh, this is an arc. He's realizing an archetype.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Epiphany.
Lady and the Tramp. Have you seen it?
Yeah. It's been a long time.
Tramp is the expert at getting away with stuff, getting food, stealing things, walking into a restaurant and being like, hey, buddies, I would like some steak. And they're like, oh, this cool dog that we know. Yeah, we're going to give you some meat.
Yeah.
There's that great scene where he's telling Lady, like, oh, where should we have dinner? We can go to this family's house. They think I'm theirs. We can go to this family's house. They have this type of cuisine.
That's funny.
And then they end up at the Italian restaurant.
And that's the spaghetti scene. Do not show your children.
It was covered in spaghetti.
Coveted sauce.
Dripping. Wrong side of a table for two.
Wrong side of a table for two.
That's getting into, he could be the meal, right?
Oh, funny. I hadn't thought of that.
That's how I've always interpreted that.
Oh, that's so funny. I always imagined that it was just somebody's having a nice romantic dinner for two and somebody gets up for a second to powder their nose and the dog is just like, zoop, I'm now the romantic partner.
And they hit it off, and it's a great first date.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's their meet cute. It's really sweet. I love it when they tell it at parties.
It's enough to send him running for cover back into the traffic. What's a poor dog to do?
It's enough to send him running for cover. Back in the traffic, what's a poor dog to do?
That's where I connect to the wrong side of a table for two. That he gets into a situation where maybe he is attacked or yelled at or something.
Right. Scared off, run off. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he would also run off if he were to be turned into a meal, if he were threatened.
Yeah. Or if he got a steak in his...
Also that, yeah, if he got what he was there for.
It's enough. That bite is enough to go back into the traffic. And then we have the repeat. Old Mutt of experience ripping through the black and yellow cabs.
But this time, the first two were old dog. This time, he's an old mutt.
Old Mutt of experience.
Indicating perhaps that the singer has gained an affection for our hero.
Yeah, he has seen him enough that he feels personally invested in this character's journey.
Yeah. Endeared to.
Yes, yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Rooting for the dog.
I mean, if we don't, who will?
Out of the noise.
Nick!
Oh, man.
Hello.
Oh, hi there.
What are we gonna get out our microphones, put on our favorite glasses, and talk Tull about next week?
Next week, pull out your calculators, your abacus, your abaci, do the math. It is track number 4, This Free Will.
This Free Will, 4 minutes and 5 seconds.
Ooh, she's a long one.
Well, actually sort of on the short side for this album.
Oh, really?
We got some 7-footers, 6-7-footers on here.
Wow. I feel like the last couple albums have been around the 3:30 mark, though.
Yeah.
Could be wrong.
Until next week, I am ripping through the black and yellows. I am Omen Thomas Sade.
I am dodging rickshaws and high-fiving bicycle boys. I'm Nick McGill.
Together, we are some bouncy, ratty little guys, the feckless Momes.
This is Sleep, Eat, and Talk Tull to Me. Let's see. She said she'd be here at 7. It's 7:15. Do I leave?
Monsieur, I just
yeah.
want to check and to make sure that you still want to uphold your reservation here at Philippe's romantic venue.
Yeah, I let's give her like another 5 minutes. Let's just be safe. I don't think she'd stand me up.
As Monsieur desires, we already have your credit card.
Perfect. That's great. Yeah. I'll just have another sparkling water. Thank you.
Very, very good choice, Monsieur.
So, God, we hit it off on the dating site. So I don't think she's going to leave me here.
Monsieur.
Yes.
Oh, I am pleased to let you know that your date has arrived, and here she is. Oh, you are such a beautiful couple. I will go and get you a bottle of champagne right away.
Wow. Hi. It's so good to meet you in person. You look a little different than your profile. Oh, it's nice. I do like the haircut. I think that's really what it is. And I mean, I've had a haircut since that picture that I put up too. So I don't like blame you or anything. Yeah, traffic was fine, actually. I mean, I had a little time after work. I got here. I had some time. I've just had a couple of club sodas, yeah. My brother recommended this place. He says the steak is really, really good. Yeah, they baste it in butter and they throw like a sprig of rosemary in there. You can get that. I'll get the lobster. I know it's a first date, but I mean, I don't mind sharing. I like a good plate share. Yeah. And I think they have bowls in the back that you can get your champagne put into a bowl if that's easier. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to assume. That was very offensive. I've never been on a date with a dog before, though. Well, I mean, I'm glad we're both experiencing this kind of new moment together. That's exciting. Yeah, that sounds great. I do remember reading that on your profile. Is there anything else you like to do? You know, something exciting?
Podcasts.
Really? I listen to podcasts too. I wonder if we listen to any of the same ones. I do listen to Talk Tull to Me. I know. And that, grandchildren, is how I met your gam.
I'm so sorry, mademoiselle, but there's no humping of the legs in the restaurant. I'll have to ask you to leave.